All right, how's it going, everybody? We are live. I am Rob Fishbeck here on the Rob Fishbeck Network, doing the most random decision I think I've made possibly in the last year for sure. About 2 hours ago, I decided, hey, you know what? I should do my 25 favorite Bruce Springsteen songs and do a live stream for it. And then that 25 added up real fast. And I said to myself, well, why don't we just do a top 50? Because that would make more sense. So that 50 added up real fast. And I go, okay, well, we'll do 50 and then we'll do like 10 honorable mentions, right? Well, that turned into like 20 honorable mentions. And then I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's just go to 100. That being said, I still have 2 or 3 honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, but they're really close. So for those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Rob Fishbeck. I know I just kind of abruptly started this stream. Welcome if you're new to the channel. How's it going? Glad to have you here. If you've been to this channel before, you know how it usually goes over here. I'm a diehard Bruce Springsteen fan. I've seen him 6 times. I will be going to see him again very shortly at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Real excited about that. So I've been listening to a lot of his music, a lot of deep cuts, a lot of live albums and stuff like that, like in the car, at the gym, all that sort of stuff to kind of get hyped for the show. I've got a million other things that I probably should be doing that are far more important than this show right now. But this is how interested I was to give this a shot tonight. So it's going to be a wild show. We're literally going to go over these song by song. Once I get close to like the top 20, I'll give a little more insight to it, but I don't want this stream to last too long. So we're going to kind of breeze through some of them. But it's not going to be the most professional show you've ever seen in your life. But if you're a Springsteen fan and you're watching this, you know, I don't need to say anything. You know what's up. You know why I'm doing this. You're probably thinking maybe I should do the same thing. Maybe you should. That would be awesome. Like, let's just all do it. Like, everybody get their list of their favorite songs by, in my opinion, maybe the greatest American rock and roll band of all time. I'm also a diehard Beatles fan. And it's like, well, they did a lot in 8 years. I'll tell you that much. That's for sure. But Bruce and the E Street Band, last I checked, this album came out 50 years ago. And I know they didn't pick up Max and Roy until 75, but you've basically had the same band for 50 years. So longevity, folks. But enough rambling. Let's just get right to it. The only other thing that I kind of want to preface with is, you could do this multiple ways. I mean, I did favorite songs because greatest songs, that's a far more challenging situation. And honestly, like my top 10 has pretty much stayed the same for a few years. So that wasn't so difficult. But I will say, I will be a little specific on what version of some of these songs. Because obviously you have the studio albums, like the actual studio albums. And then you have the live albums, the official live releases. So that would be like live at Hammersmith Odeon, 1975. That would be live in New York City. That would be live in Dublin during the Seeger Sessions tour. Those are like the official live release albums, right? And then you've also got this other thing that, because I wanted to do a ranking of my favorite albums, but it poses a lot of problems because I'll throw out 2 titles. If you're a Springsteen fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. Tracks and The Promise. To me, The Promise is like right up there with Born in the USA and Nebraska and The River. It's not quite Darkness or Born to Run, but like it's up there, but it's technically just a bunch of songs that didn't make Darkness on the Edge of Town, but it's a double album that is so good that it could stand toe to toe with an album like Born in the USA or Tunnel of Love or The Rising or Devils and Dust or something. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think The Promise is a stronger album than Devils and Dust or possibly The Rising, but that's a different conversation for a different day. So And then tracks. Tracks. So if you're new, if you're learning about Bruce Springsteen for the first time, hi, how's it going? Rob Fishbeck, nice to meet you. Tracks was a compilation album that came out in 1998. There's the like 4-disc set, and then there's just a single disc called 18 tracks. Tracks is literally all of these B-sides and rarities and outtakes, stuff that didn't make the record, things that were B-sides on singles, especially off like big hit albums like Born in the USA and stuff, because there was like 7 singles for a record that's got 12 tracks on it, right? So, and it's not like how it used to be back when the Beatles did it, where they'd have like double A side. It's a whole nother thing. But so then there's that. But again, it's not a studio album, but to me, the material that's on it is very strong. Like, I'll just let you know something right now. There are 3 albums, technically 4, because Only the Strong Survive is all covers, and that's a brand new record. That none of those songs are on my list. There's no songs off Human Touch. There's no songs off Magic. And there's no songs off the Seeger Sessions. I love the Seeger Sessions, but it's such a different vibe, and they're all covers. And I got a handful of covers on here, but they're all covers. And I think that album works so much better on its own that it's neither here nor there. So again, but to me, stuff like Tracks or The Promise blows, in my opinion, Human Touch out of the water. It blows the Ghost of Tom Joad, the album, out of the water. So it's just kind of a very, crazy sort of thing. Anyways. All right, so let's get to the list. But before I get to the list, I just want to briefly mention a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make it. Let's start with Black Cowboys off Devils and Dust. As somebody who, is a songwriter themselves, you can go check me out. I'll plug my stuff later. I'm not worried about that right now. I love a good narrative structure. And the story that's told in the song Black Cowboys on Devils and Dust is just absolutely phenomenal. It's just such a great song. And then also, Jesus Was an Only Son, same album. Just a phenomenal. I mean, every Easter I play that song. It's crazy, and it's like to take, I've always compared Springsteen's music to, the likes of somebody like Martin Scorsese, because it's so cinematic. Like it's all just so cinematic. And especially the output that he had going on in the mid to late 70s was very much akin to, what Martin Scorsese was trying to say, I think with some of his pictures. Other directors as well, but I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole. And I think of a movie like The Last Temptation of Christ from 1986 or 88 or whatever it was. And I think of a song like Jesus Was an Only Son, and it's like, here's a track that if you were to play it for a room full of Christians, they wouldn't even notice that it's a song written by Bruce Springsteen, right? Who's not a Christian singer. But, it gets the point across. And it really humanizes Jesus Christ as a person. This is a person that's being led to his death, similar to like a song like Dead Man Walking that he wrote for the Sean Penn film. And the song's about his love, him and his mother's bond and this mother-son relationship. And it's done in the whole track's like 2.5 minutes long. And it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Anyways, all right, and then my last honorable mention, last one. In 2014, they did a run in New Zealand, and he opened the show one night with an acoustic version of Royals by Lorde. I have probably listened to it on YouTube like 50 times over the last 10 years. It is truly phenomenal. And it's so interesting because I remembered when I first heard that song, the single came out in the summer of 2013. And I'm not usually attracted to modern pop music at all whatsoever, at all. And I just remember it came on the radio, and I happened to have the radio on. This is back when I still listened to the radio. And I was just saying to myself, what a great song. And I couldn't figure out, like, subconsciously why I was so attracted to these lyrics, right? And this hook. And it's a great song. Flash forward a year, less than a year, and Bruce plays this song in New Zealand on an acoustic guitar with a harmonica and turns it into a folk song. And it's like, oh, that's why. Because it's literally a working class, anthem, very much akin to what he's known to do. So that's very, very interesting. By the way, shout out to AJ. Hey, AJ and Mike. They're in the chat right now. The stream will be going on Thursday, most likely. Still be going. Yeah. We're going to try to keep it under 2 hours, but we'll see what happens. I just downed a bunch of B vitamins, and then I'm going to go to the gym after this. So I started out down here, kind of like a Springsteen show. The energy is going to start here. And by the end of the stream, I'm going to be like up here. And then I'm going to go work out for an hour, come home, and try to get 2 songs written tonight for a record I'm working on, and then probably pass out. Try to be a normal person tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. All right. Anyways, so coming in at number 100 for me is a track off the album Letter to You. It's the song he's been closing with at every show this 2023 tour. It's a song called I'll See You in My Dreams. And my gosh, like, if that song doesn't bring a tear to your eye, the first time you hear it, or once you know what the song's about a friend of his that passed away a few years back. He played this song for a group of people on the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And I challenge anybody to watch that video and not like get chills, because the song's about loss. The song is about people that are getting older and somebody dies. And that's what happens to all of us. And it's just such a beautiful song. And I remember when the album was coming out, I saw the title and I was like, ooh, I know a song called I'll See You in My Dreams. And I was like, I don't think it's the same song, because then it said written by Bruce Springsteen. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely not the same song. Similar title, and or same title rather. And I was just like, wow, just totally blown away. So there is that. All right, coming in at number 99, I want to move my list over here so I can see it better. Coming in at 99 is a song that, don't get me wrong, I love the original version because I am a huge fan of Tom Waits. Tom Waits is just one of the greatest songwriters of all time. But nothing against Tom Waits, but Bruce Springsteen is from New Jersey. So the song is called Jersey Girl. And I remember first hearing it on the live 75 through 85 LP set that I have, that my grandmother got me at a garage sale when I was in junior high. And that was my introduction to the E Street Band, that and the album Nebraska. That's a story for a different day. But Jersey Girl, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a great love song. And, I don't think I'll ever get a chance to see Bruce in New Jersey. That would be awesome. But, I know people just lose their minds when he plays that song when he's in his home state. So there is that. Okay, coming in at number 98 is a song, the title track off the 2009 album, Working on a Dream. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a great song. It's, it's the constant Springsteen struggle. It's this things suck. Things are bad. Things are not great. But we've got faith that it'll work out and things will get better. And, the idea of hope. I think that's one of the reasons him and Barack Obama hit it off so well. And I just laugh all the time. Politics aside, I just think it's so funny that, like, maybe one of the 5 biggest rock stars and artists, like, of all time is good friends with one of the former presidents of the United States. Like, they did a podcast together and it was phenomenal. But again, hope, the idea of hope. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons, like, they hit it off. It's like, I've been singing about that for 40 years. And that's this guy's, campaign slogan. You know what I mean? So anyways, Working on a Dream. It's a great. Again, there's no songs on Magic on my list. It's a good album. I don't think he's ever made a bad album, you know, and I say the same thing with like a lot of the Marvel movies. You know, take the worst Marvel movie, it's still a pretty decent movie compared to like other movies. It's just you're comparing it against, you know, these like Endgame or Infinity War or something, right? For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, they're literally like two of the biggest movies that have ever been made, right? So when you're when you a Springsteen record, you know, comes out and it's like, well, it's a good album, and then like life moves on, right? And then you go back and you're like, well, it's not Born to Run, but like compared to a lot of the bullshit you hear on the radio, this is a strong album. It's just 100 songs didn't make the list. So Working on a Dream is the one track off of that album that did make the list. But anyways, so that's number 98. Number 97. Okay, we're getting into the deep cuts and the rarities very early on this list. It's a song called Back in Your Arms. What I mean, okay. In the multiverse, we'll stick with the comic book reference. In the multiverse, right? There is another world where Bruce Springsteen decided to not make Darkness on the Edge of Town the way it is, and he would have put out a different album. This guy could have been a major top 40 pop radio songwriter and or just artist in general. I mean, the guy can write love songs and breakup songs and just great pop structure so well, but he's Bruce. And you know, for those of you that aren't aware with this, like on a record like Darkness on the Edge of Town, which is my favorite album of all time, if it didn't, I think this is the way John Landau said it, his manager and, you know, confidant or whatever, you know, if the song didn't represent exactly what he wanted to say on the album, or if he thought it would be a hit that would take away from the tone or any of the, you know, the idea of the album, he just took it off. It just didn't make it, just got taken off. And I think about a song like Back in Your Arms, and it's like, this would have been a massive song for anybody else. Like that would have been, you know, it's like you think about those bands that people pay good money to go see and they got like 3 or 4 hits and then they got maybe like 3 or 4 other songs, you know, but then like half the show, you're just kind of like, I don't really know a lot of these tracks. I just think about it and it's like, he could have given so many of these songs away and just made artists careers. It's crazy. It's just the immense talent, right? Okay. So coming in at number 96, we're going to go all the way back to 1973. In fact, if you listen to tracks, this is like one of the songs that he played for John Hammond before John Hammond's the A&R guy. It's before he got signed to Columbia Records. And this is a song called Mary Queen of Arkansas. And there's been so many phases of Bruce, and everybody's got their favorite phase. I can't really decide on one because there's so many. Like Elvis had all these phases, right? Or Dylan, right? And a song like Mary Queen of Arkansas, it's the epitome, like in a positive way. It's like, it's a great representative of the type of songs that were coming out in the early 70s. The idea of the singer-songwriter. You're telling this narrative structure that comes from country music. And, you know, it's got, you know, there's no twang in it. So it's not a country song. But it's got this, you know, folk rock sort of arrangement. And it's played on an acoustic guitar. That's Mary Queen of Arkansas. And the characters, the narrative storytelling, that is what makes the track, right? So Mary Queen of Arkansas. Coming in at number 95 is the title track off an album that came out in 2019. I think it's a masterpiece. I'm a little surprised that they're not playing any of these tracks on their current tour. I understand because it's not an E Street Band album. There's a string section and it's very California country sort of thing, like Glenn Campbell almost, right? I think you could use it as an example. I think he's even said that. The song is Western Stars. What I love about this song, and we're going to go way back. We're going to go, we'll go back to other songs from way earlier in his career. But here's a song. It's like, this is where some of those characters that he was singing about in the early 70s are now. They're old and things are different. He even has a line in there about a little blue pill, right? Those characters are now senior citizens. So the idea to me, and then even a song like I'll See You in My Dreams, it's this full circle. You start with some of the characters that are on Greetings or Wild the Innocent or Born to Run especially, and then they become adults. Darkness, The River, Nebraska, Born in the USA. They really become adults. You got an album like Tunnel of Love, right? And then I've always said in my head, it's like, and then there was all these blank years where they, raised their children, right? And then they came back and it's a song like Racing in the Street, which we'll get to way, way further on down in the show. The idea of Racing in the Street was kind of like, and he said this, all those car songs that you heard about in the late 50s, early 60s, those characters, the guys, like Jan and Dean's Dead Man's Curve or the Shangri-La's Leader of the Pack or, some of that early Beach Boys stuff, Lil Deuce Coupe. What happened to those guys? What happened to those guys when they weren't 16, when they weren't 18, when they weren't 20 anymore? What happened to those characters? And I think Western Stars is it's like, oh, and he's got a lot of songs that are like that. This is just the one that I particularly, it made the list. Enough said. Coming in at number 94, Little Things My Baby Does, off of The Promise from 2010. This was a song that did not make Darkness on the Edge of Town. The way she kisses so tenderly. Phenomenal. It's a great love song. It's, it's not Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney, but it's up there. You could make that argument. And I think if this song would have come out as a single in 1978, maybe people would compare it up to a song like Your Song by Elton John or Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney. It's phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. And it's got, Clarence is on it. And before I go any more forward, I've got to say this. There's some songs on here that it's him and an acoustic guitar and or a harmonica. There's some songs on here where he's playing with session musicians or he's playing with, bands that he hired for an album like Western Stars, which is a very specific type of record or something like that. And they're all great. It's all fantastic. Him and an acoustic guitar, it'll melt your face off. People lined up at the door to see him on Broadway do that, piano too. Just they lined up at the door. You couldn't even get tickets to these shows. But it goes without saying, the E Street Band are just some of the greatest musicians of all time. There's no doubt. There's no arguing that thought or that sentence. They are so integral to the sound of Bruce Springsteen. And he can go off on his own and do these other things, and they're great, and they've won him awards and all that sorts of stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, he goes back to the family, back to the band, and then the magic happens. So there's that. Number 93, The Wall, which was a song off the album High Hopes from 2014. You know, all I can say about that is I saw him in 2014 in Nashville, Tennessee with my friend Megan. Steve Van Zandt was off filling Lilyhammer, so they picked up Tom Morello to play guitar on the tour. It was amazing. And he played this song, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house, right? And then it ended. And then he played Born in the USA, which he, for those of you that don't know, he does not very, very rarely. And if he does play it, it's usually a wildly different arrangement. Go listen to the Live in New York City version. He usually does not play that song to begin with, let alone in America. He'll play it a lot in Europe. He's been playing it quite a bit on this tour in Europe, in the encores. But for all the obvious reasons that everybody mostly knows about, and if you don't, go look it up, he doesn't play it very much here in America. But he did. And it was the album version of the song. And those two together, there's not a dry eye in the house, because the song The Wall is literally, it's about the wall, the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And, especially himself and that whole generation, they all know somebody that's on that wall. So to follow that up with Born in the USA is phenomenal. And we'll get to that track later on the list. Okay, number 92, Talk to Me, another great ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-dum. I mean, it's very Brill building, kind of tip of the hat, the horns, what must I do? What must I say to get you to talk to me? Great. It's on the Promise. It's another great pop Springsteen song, right? 91, Johnny 99. I went as Ralph, Johnny 99, in 2015 to a Halloween party. I basically just put on some like blue collar looking clothes that would have been very much of the early 80s era. And I got some fake handcuffs at the dollar store, like I was chained. And I had like a tag that said Johnny 99. Anyways, nobody knew who I was at this party, but I didn't care. I think it's a great character. It's a great societal song talking about, this guy that lost his job and he needs money. So he robs a bank and it goes bad and he shoots the clerk and the judge gives him 99 years in prison. All he had was a public defender and now they call him Johnny 99. Go read more about that later on your own. Number 90, Further On Up the Road Off the Rising. It's a great song. We got to get through this list. So I'm just going to keep pushing. Further On Up the Road Off the Rising. Go check it out. It's phenomenal. Number 89, Take 'Em As They Come. How this didn't make a record blows my mind. It's phenomenal. And the outro is great. It is a great outro. Some would argue it's a little thin because it's mostly like just drums and it's just kind of the rhythm of the song. It's not like the, intro to something like Jungle Land, which we'll get to far later on in the list. But it's great. It's a great pop rock song. It definitely, like, if you know enough, you go, oh, this was recorded somewhere between 82 and 84. Somewhere in there, right? Take 'Em As They Come. Number 88, Janie Needs a Shooter. Now, I know the original version. Original version's great. But I'm talking about the version that's on Letter to You. It's just a phenomenal song about a woman that, I mean, at least in my opinion, from what I understand from the song, The love that she can get from one man, no one else comes close. Why? Leave it up to you. You know, so make songs universal. Number 87, Maria's Bed off Devils and Dust. It's got a great violin solo in it. It's got a great melody. It's very country western in the good ways. Narrative structure, beautiful song. Number 86, Lion's Den, another one off Tracks. It's got a swing to it. And again, for whatever reason, anything really that's got a swing for the most part, never, other than the first two albums, never seemed to make Springsteen records after Wild the Innocent. And it's got, it's got a great Bible reference. You broke my heart, tore it apart, thought it was cute, thought it was smart. Now I'm back, baby. I got the strength of 10. Like Daniel waiting in the lion's den. Daniel waiting for that lion to come. And you can do it. So Lion's Den, number 85, track off The River, Independence Day. This is a song that many, many, many sons and even many daughters can relate to. The idea of, for those of you that, again, don't know this, the song is about him and his father's relationship. And you can go read that on your own, or read his autobiography, Born to Run, because it's a fucking masterpiece. But I think for a lot of people, especially young people that are 16 to 20, you play them this song, and a lot of people can relate to it. Sometimes they grow out of it, they have a great relationship. Sometimes they don't. But the song's about, going away and starting a life on your own. Independence Day. Number 84, Two Hearts, another track off The River. Two hearts are better than one, Two Hearts, girl, get the job done. It's a great rock love song. It's just phenomenal. Number 83. And it's got that Ronettes, Be My Baby kind of drum beat, Think I'm going down to the well and night and I'm gonna drink. I got to stop singing. Glory Days of Born in the USA. We're going to keep moving forward. Number 82, Factory off Darkness on the Edge of Town. By the way, every song off of Darkness on the Edge of Town, every song off Born in the USA, and all the songs except for Meeting Across the River made the list. Just context. So if you know where my heart kind of lies. Glory Days, Factory. Factory is phenomenal. It's a great track. It's a very underrated track. A lot of people say it's the one song on Darkness that's like, why did we need that song? Well, you could say the same about like Meeting Across the River on Born to Run. But to me, Factory is context. You've got this album with all of these characters and all of these situations. It's bad, but we've got hope, all these sorts of things. Factory is literally where they're going to end up if they don't get out. And if they don't get out, they're still trying not to end up there like their parents because they want to make a better life than the generation that came before them. Okay? It's a very, it's a loaded song. There's a lot to say about it within this less than 3 minute track. Okay. Number 81, Mansion on the Hill off Nebraska. Right? Mansion on the Hill. Check it out. We got to start breezing through some of these. Great narrative song. Number 80, The E Street Shuffle. One of the most unique songs in the catalog of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. It's got like those The the Stones used them on a couple of songs where you like slide the thing. It looks like a washboard almost, but it makes this interesting noise. It's got like kazoos on it. There's a lot going on the E Street Shuffle, and it's got this kind of jazzy sounding electric guitar. These are the days when it was like Bob Dylan and Van Morrison and some other stuff and a little bit of his own. Like, that's what he was going for. Born to Run, Phil Spector meets Roy Orbison meets, rock and whatever, like his own thing. And then Darkness is like Hank Williams meets the Animals, right? And then The River is after he really absorbed country western music, okay? Country music. Number 79, Meet Me in the City Tonight. When I saw him on the River Tour in 2016, the first leg, I saw him in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This was a song they opened with before they played The River in its entirety. Meet Me in the City Tonight, it's an outtake. It's on the River box set. It's a great track. Number 78, American Skin, 41 Shots. Over the last few years, this song has become even more important for people to listen to because we are trying to progress as a society. It's not easy. There's still a lot of bad things that go on. Go listen to the song. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Candy's Boy, number 77 off The Promise. It's the, other side to Candy's Room, if you will. And it's got maybe one of the 5 best organ solos from Danny on any E Street song. It's just, the outro to that is phenomenal. Number 76, Better Days off Lucky Town. There's not a lot of optimistic songs that Bruce Springsteen writes that are just pure optimism. But in life, sometimes we need to be optimistic. We need something that's positive. The line, "And a woman I can call my friend, these are better days, baby. These are better days." It's true. It's not a coincidence that this is a album that came out in 1992 as him and Patty are now together and they're starting to have children. The thing that he searched for so long, he finally found it. To quote U2, "I still haven't found what I'm looking for." Well, he found what he was looking for. That doesn't solve all your problems. That doesn't specifically make you happy. But when you fall in love and all that sort of stuff, it might lighten the load a little bit. It might make some things a little bit easier some days. I'm a big fan of this is what I say to people, and I try to live this out myself. You're going to have more bad days than you're going to have great days. You're going to have more okay days than good days, but the good days and the great days overshadow a lot of the mundane, a lot of the okay, and a lot of the hard days and the hard times. So that's what I take out of a song like that. Number 75, and I just kind of made that up. But I mean, like not right now, but like I've said that, over the years. Mostly just the last year. But anyways, number 75, Into the Fire off of The Rising. It's, for those of us that remember 9/11, which I think most people in this country do, the song's about the people that ran into the building that day to go save everybody else. And not everybody made it out. So yeah, there's that. Number 74, Night, one of the greatest drum intros. And you get the sax right away from Clarence. It's a track off Born to Run. Number 73, Bobby Jean off Born in the USA. again, another highlight in the pantheon of the great Clarence Clemens, the late great Clarence Clemens, is the song about Steve Van Zandt. Bruce will never tell. Maybe he will one day. We don't know. Number 72, High Hopes, a cover song. A great cover song. He opened the show with that when I saw him in 2014. It's a great arrangement. It's very Springsteen, all that jazz. Number 71, Hard to Be a Saint in the City off Greetings from Asbury Park. Number 70, My City of Ruins off The Rising. I remember shortly after 9/11, they did like a benefit show, or there was like a concert, right? And it was him and Patty and Steve, and they played this song. And I just remember watching it. This is before the album came out, The Rising. And I had chills. Just chills. And then after Clarence died, when I saw him at Wrigley 2 nights in a row, the first 2 times I saw him in 2012, he played this song and it took on a whole new meaning, with Clarence gone. He'd been gone just for about a year. Number 69, My Hometown. For those of you out there that, as a teenager and somebody in your 20s, you're trying to get out of your hometown. Some of us leave, some of us come back, some of us never leave. But it's cyclical. And there's a great line at the end of the song where he talks about them trying to get out, but he's 35 and he's got a boy of his own now. And he's going to put him behind the steering wheel and teach him how to drive and all that sort of stuff. Son, take a good look around. This is your hometown. Number 68, Drive All Night. Oh my gosh. The line, baby, I would drive all night just to buy you some shoes and to taste your tender charm. Sign me up. Number 67, So Young and in Love. Another great like R&B sort of like influenced, swing sort of song, right? So Young and in Love. That was on Tracks. Now, this early on, and just as a heads up, Hungry Heart's not on my list. It's not. But this is a song that I think a lot of people would think would be way higher up. It's a great song. There's just a lot of better ones. Number 66, Born in the USA. Number 65, Ain't Good Enough for You. Another great pop track off The Promise. Number 64, Thundercrack off of Tracks. Well, her brains are rattle and her bones they shake. Oh, she's the angel from the inner lake. It's got great dynamics. It's very early E Street Band, where it's kind of like, again, the title says it itself, The Wild, the Innocent, the E Street Shuffle. Thundercrack. Number 63, Brilliant Disguise. That song is about adult love. There's a lot of great fun love songs. There's plenty of them. They're a dime a dozen. They're fun love songs about being in love. But a song like Brilliant Disguise is something that I'm far more attracted to because, 5 days out of 365 a year, you're going to feel like the ones in some of the songs I mentioned earlier. But most days, it's Brilliant Disguise. It's real adult relationships. They're not always going to be easy. They're not always going to be hard. Some days you're going to doubt if the person that you're with is who you think they are. But that's a conversation for a different day. Brilliant Disguise. Number 62, If I Should Fall Behind, off of Lucky Town. I prefer the Live in Dublin version with him and Patty. I think the arrangement on it, it's in 3/4 time. It's like a waltz. It's beautiful. I also love the Live in New York City version where the whole E Street Band takes a part of the song. It's truly phenomenal, and I think both versions are better than the original album version. Okay, number 61, Spirit in the Night, Crazy Janie and her mission, man. Janie and Mary, he sings about those girls a lot. So there is that. Spirit in the Night. It's a great, just a great fucking song. Number 60, One Step Up. Another adult relationship song off Tunnel of Love. I actually knew the Kenny Chesney version before I knew the Springsteen version because of my age and at the time when Kenny Chesney was really hot and the fact that like my sisters were really into Kenny Chesney. I had the album No Shoes, No Shirt, No Problem, it's a great album. It's a great Kenny Chesney album. And One Step Up's on it. It's towards the end of the record. And I was like, ooh, I love these lyrics and I love the way they play. And then a few years later, I found out, oh, that's Bruce. Ah, okay, it all makes sense. Number 59, Nebraska. Saw her standing on the front lawn just a twirling her baton. Me and her went for a ride, sir, and 10 innocent people died. People say things like, you can't make this stuff up. Well, ripped from the headlines, if you will, the Charles Starkweather, Badlands, the Terrence Malick film, but still, I mean, Bruce made it up. It's great. It's made up this melody in the song about a real thing that happened. Number 58, The Promise, to me, is the true sequel song to Thunder Road. A lot of people could say it's Racing in the Street, but to me, The Promise is the true sequel song to Thunder Road. Johnny Works in a Factory. No, not like the Bon Jovi song. It's tough. It gets me choked up because it's like, wow, Okay. Number 57, Kitty's Back. The album version's great. For me, it's the live at Hammersmith Odeon version from 1975. Kitty's back in town. Here she comes now. Again, Danny shines on that. Everybody shines on that. Everybody is so great. Number 56, Lucky Town, the title track off of Lucky Town. It's a little darker than Better Days, so that's why it's higher on the list. Number 55, Streets of Fire off Darkness on the Edge of Town. Tonally, that song is just a 10 out of 10. Number 54, Mary's Place, a great fun track off of The Rising. It's reminiscent of Sam Cooke. It's reminiscent of a lot of things, and it's great contextually because the idea is he was in his early 50s when this track came out, and so was a lot of his audience. So it's just a great fun song that, especially when he plays it live, I've heard him play it once, and they just burned the house down. Number 53, If I Was the Priest. The original version's great, but the version off Letter to You is easily my favorite track off that entire album, and it's a strong album. But, I don't know what it's about. I don't think he knows what it's about because, again, these were back in the Dylan Van Morrison sort of days when it was written. Phenomenal track. Number 52, Roulette. This one didn't make the river, but it sure is it's a damn good song. Roulette. You're playing with my life. Roulette, my kids and my wife. Roulette. It's a very societal song about the recession, the changing of the guard, going from the Carter administration into the Reagan administration before we learned what all that was going to entail. Go check it out. Number 51, maybe the hardest rocking, dirtiest, darkest, almost like nails on a chalkboard, but in a great way, Springsteen song that's ever been made. Adam Raised a Cain off Darkness on the Edge of Town. Adam Raised a Cain. He's very, very, very good at taking I've always said him and Dylan are very, very, very good at taking ideas and thoughts and concepts from the Bible and translating them into a very American, very human working class situation. And that's no exception. Number 50, shout out to my sister Hannah. This is one of her favorite songs. Incident on 57th Street off the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. My favorite version, and I think her favorite version as well, is the live in Barcelona version from 2002, 2003, when he plays it solo on the piano. His voice is a little more weathered. It's got a little grit to it, and it's beautiful. Number 49, this was a big hit for the Pointer Sisters, but it could have been a big hit for him as well. A song he wrote called Fire that made the Promise album. It's a great love song. It's very Elvis. He was very much, I think, after Elvis died. Because it's the same melody, just different lyrics. Come on, let's go tonight. Heard on the radio, Elvis Presley died. It's the same melody as Factory, but it's a song called Come On, Let's Go Tonight. It's very much channeling Elvis, I think, grieving him. And a song like Fire could have been a number one hit for Elvis Presley. Number 48, Open All Night off Nebraska. Fantastic song. I love playing this one on guitar because it's a great, whenever it's been like 2 weeks that I've really played or sang or anything like that, and I need to kind of like get my hands loose and get my voice loose, I play this song because it's in G, it's G, C, and D. And it's a great, because it doesn't stop. It's this kind of rockabilly sort of thing, and there's a lot of lyrics. For me, it's singing about the girl he loves. Fried chicken on the front seat, sitting on our lap. We were wiping our fingers on a Texaco road map. I remember Wanda up on Scrap Metal Hill with them big green eyes make your heart stand still, or big brown eyes make your heart stand still. Sometimes I change the own words in my head. Anyways, it's great. Eddie Vedder does a phenomenal cover of this song. Go check it out. Phenomenal. Number 47, Downbound Train off Born in the USA. It's so great, and it's so dark, and it's just like the intro's great. It's so fucking good. Number 46, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, the song about the formation of the E Street Band. And the change was made uptown, and the big man joined the band, and then here comes Clarence. Number 45, Devils and Dust. It's it really takes me back to when the album came out, and we started all these wars under the guise of freedom fighters to bring freedom to the Middle East. And looking back, I don't know how much freedom we brought anybody, but we sure brought a lot of destruction. And, I think we very much learned from the Vietnam War that you could be a little questionable with the war and maybe the intentions of the government, but 110% be supportive of the troops. And I think that's very much a thing that the baby boomer generation learned from Vietnam. And, I know people that were in the wars in the Middle East in the 2000s, and a few of them. And, they came back. Not everybody did. And there's something to be said about that. And this would probably be a great moment to just say, hey, thank you to all of our military, every single person who has ever served this country. Thank you for your service. I really mean it. And we are still able to live in this country and have the freedoms that we do have because of people like yourself. So, Devils and Dust. Number 44. If I'd have made this list when I was 16, it would have probably made the top 10. Secret Garden. I first heard this song in the movie Jerry Maguire when him and Renee Zellweger go out on their first date. Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger. And it's such a beautiful song. And then I got a little older and I read the lyrics again. And it's like, you might know her well. She'll let you in her mouth. She'll let you in her house. But there's always going to be a secret garden she hides. And at one point I was like, is he talking about something down there is the secret garden? And then I got a little older and I realized, no, there are just always going to be parts of ourselves that we keep for us. And maybe in time, if you're in a relationship for 30 years or more, maybe in time, you will understand all of it. But if we don't keep parts of ourselves, but maybe just even if it's just one or two things about us for us, then we have nothing left for us because it's all out there, even if it's with the man or woman of your dreams. That's Secret Garden. Number 43, Counting on a Miracle. Oh my gosh. Off the Rising. It's a fairy tale so tragic. There's no prince to break the spell. I don't believe in magic, but for you I will. Your kiss was taken from me, and now all I have is this: your kiss, your touch, your heart, your strength, your hope. What a beautiful song. Count on a Miracle. It's a great rocker. It's got a great guitar part in it. Fantastic. Number 42, For You, off of Greetings from Asbury Park. I prefer the live at Hammersmith version. It's great. The original version's great as well, but when it's just him and the piano, Roy, it's so beautiful. Go check it out. Number 41, this is my sister Hannah's ringtone when she calls me, even though my phone now stays on silent. Side 1, track 2, Off the River, Sherry Darling. It's so joyous. It's one of my favorite songs to play in the summertime, and it's so, it's like even when Bruce writes these like pop songs and stuff, it's so gritty. Your mama's yapping in the back seat. Tell her to push over and move them big feet. Every Monday morning, I got to drive her down to the unemployment agency. This morning, I ain't fighting. Tell her I give up. Tell her she wins if she just shuts up. It's the last time that she's going to be riding with me. Context, societal context, working class, so much. Number 40, Dancing in the Dark. It is maybe the most un-Bruce song that was ever hit, along with Hungry Heart. But it's so good. It's undeniable. Dancing in the Dark, there's a reason it was a top 10 hit. It's a phenomenal song, and it's so funny. He recorded like 30 songs and finally narrowed it down to Born in the USA. And John Landau was like, yeah, but you don't have a hit, go home and write a hit. And I get up in the evening and I ain't got nothing to say. Okay. Number 39, This Hard Land. I prefer the version that's off of, I believe, The Greatest Hits with the harmonica, the one that was recorded in the mid-90s. A great narrative song. Number 39, I got a 007 watch. It's a one and only. It's got an I Spy beeper that tells me when you're lonely. I got a Batmobile so I can meet you in a fair shake when your world's in crisis. I'm a rocker, baby. I'm a rocker. Again, you could challenge, like, that made your list. That made your list at number 38. Well, again, these are my favorite songs. I didn't say greatest. I said favorite. And I love I'm a Rocker. I also love Cadillac Ranch. Cadillac Ranch didn't make the list, but it's up there. It's so good. So good. Number 37, Darlington County, off Born in the USA. Great song. Number 36, I'm on Fire, off Born in the USA. The older I get, the more I love this song. There is something... It's just the way it sounds. It's like temptation in a sin. It's just about this guy that loves his girl, but it's like, it's got this darkness to it. It really does. And it's just a beautiful track. Number 35, Rendezvous. A fun, up-tempo. I love the live version, the one that's on tracks. The studio version that's on The Promise is great, but I prefer the live version that's on tracks. Number 34, Ramrod, which if you've never seen him play it live, boy, is it a show. Phenomenal. It's balls to the wall, fun. It's the E Street Band having fun. And it's really nice because it's usually, it's usually sandwiched into songs that really make you think. Even go look at the River album. It's sandwiched in with, The Price You Pay and things like that, right? I'm going to take a sip of water. We're doing great. We're an hour in and we got 33 songs left. This is exactly how I wanted it to be. That's why I'm kind of rushing through some of them. Not really rushing, but I'm just giving you my list. All right, number 33. One of the greatest intros by Roy Bittan. Something in the Night off Darkness on the Edge of Town. It is a monster of a song. It's so good. When you're born with nothing and better off that way, as soon as you got something, they send someone to try and take it away. It's beautiful. Number 32, the song that won Bruce Springsteen an Academy Award. I almost said title track, but Neil Young wrote the title track. Streets of Philadelphia, the opening track from the movie Philadelphia, Streets of Philadelphia. It's so great. It's such a great song, and it's so dark, and it's so real. And I'm so happy that there are so many people in this world that I shouldn't say I'm happy that they're disenfranchised or they don't feel that's not what I mean. What I mean is I'm happy that people have been able to connect to this song, that feel the way the character in that song feels, and that might give a little bit of hope. Okay. But it's a very bleak song. Like, let's not, mix words here. It's very bleak. Ain't no angel gonna greet me. It's just you and I, my friend. And my clothes don't fit me no more. Oh my gosh. Oh, Streets of Philadelphia. I kind of just now want to go watch Philadelphia because that movie is my top 20 favorite films of all time. Number 31, Janie, Don't You Lose Heart. That's another track that didn't make The River or Born in the USA. Yeah, Born in the USA. It didn't make Born in the USA. Janie, Don't You Lose Heart. Great sax solo. It's a great song. Love it. Off tracks. Number 30, Trapped. The cover of the original song by Jimmy Cliff. The first time I ever saw Bruce, and I'm going to tell more stories about this in a moment, but he played Trapped that night, and he played Trapped the 5th time I saw him. And it's so good. It's so good. The dynamics are great in it. I love good dynamics in a song structure. Number 29, The Ghost of Tom Joad. And no, I'm not talking about the album version from The Ghost of Tom Joad album. That record's good. Out of the 3 acoustic records, because Western Stars I don't count as an acoustic record because that's its own thing. But the Nebraska Tom Joad Devils and Dust like trilogy, if you will, it's my least favorite. It's still a great album, but I prefer Devils and Dust a little bit because it's got some really strong tracks on it. And then obviously Nebraska. But I'm talking about the version from High Hopes that he did with Tom Morello. I have a theory. There's a lot of people I've met over the years that they're like, yeah, I'm not really into Bruce Springsteen. Based on people's music taste, I try to find one song that I think that might be like their gateway into Bruce. And for a few people, I played them the High Hopes version of The Ghost of Tom Joad. And they were like, this song rocks. And it's like, yeah, because Tom Morello's on it. It's phenomenal. Number 28, The Times Are Tough. They're just getting tougher. The whole world is rough. It's just getting rougher. Cover me. Shut the door and cover me. I love on the live 75 through 85 version, they open with Nowhere to Run. They like echo, again, they echo this optimism that, we had in the 60s that was then just shut down real quickly. You get a song like Cover Me, looking for a lover who will come on in and cover me. Number 27, another song that did not make Born in the USA, which blows my mind because it's phenomenal. He also played this the first time I saw him in concert. My Love Will Not Let You Down. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Number 26, Badlands. Badlands. Lights Out Tonight, Trouble in the Heartland. Got a head-on collision smashing in my guts, man. I love it. It's got it's kind of like a tip of the hat to the Animals. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Phenomenal. What can you say about Badlands? It hasn't already been said. Number 25, The River. The album version, yes, that's the version that's on here. But I will also challenge and say the live in New York City version with the sax solo at the beginning. Oh my, or the saxophone rather at the beginning. Oh my gosh. Is a dream a lie if it don't come true, or is it something worse? My favorite line, though, from the song is, then I got Mary pregnant, and man, that was all she wrote. And for my 19th birthday, I got a union card and a wedding coat. Those lyrics need to be in fucking U.S. history books, people. Seriously. Okay. Number 24. This song means a lot to me personally. That's probably why it's so high on the list. It's a great song, but it really means something to me. The song is Long Time Coming off Devils and Dust. The lines, the two different points in the song, that mistakes will be your own. Yeah, your sins will be your own. The idea that you're not carrying, because you think about a song like a callback to okay, let's get really nerdy about it, right? Is this the same character that's in Adam Raised a Cain? Because to me, it's the same character that's in Adam Raised a Cain. Adam Raised a Cain, is the idea that your parents' sins, the idea of original sin in Catholicism, you carry those, you absorb those, you take those, right? But the idea now that he's got some perspective, 30 years has gone by, whatever, okay? For the next generation, he's trying to set it up so that their sins will be their own. Their troubles and hardships and whatnot are not a effect of what happened with their parents. They're solely things that they caused and created. There's separation. It's not generation after generation. It just keeps getting passed down. Okay. And then the line, I ain't going to fuck it up this time. To paint the picture, if you don't know the song, he's out camping. In my head, he's out camping with his wife and his children, and he's looking at them thinking to himself, like, I got a second chance. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. Yes. Number 23, Growing Up. I've played the song at many of my own shows. I love it. It's fucking great. I remember when they played this song in Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, and I was like, this is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal song. It's side 1, track 2 off of Greetings from Asbury Park. Okay. I know these are really high on my list. And he didn't write these songs. But they're mind-blowing. They're mind-blowing. So number 22 and number 21, you could tie them, you could whatever you want to do, but there's a theme. It's Quarter to Three and Detroit Medley. the 1979 No Nukes show of Quarter to Three. That might be the greatest 10 minutes in the history of rock and roll. And I challenge anybody to have that argument with me. Might be the greatest 10 minutes in the history of rock and roll. And then the Detroit medley, gosh, you could go with the 78 tour. You could go with the 80 tour. Just go on YouTube, type in Springsteen Detroit medley. I mean, to me, it all comes back to the Hammersmith version of both of these songs because that's when I first heard them. And when I first saw them on PBS, because they played the concert, I watched it when I was like 15 years old. And it was like, that's when I fell in love with the band because it was like, what? They're singing Good Golly, Miss Molly. What is this? I know I love Little Richard. Who doesn't know Little Richard? Just mind blowing. All right, we're officially into the top 20. Number 20, The Land of Hopes and Dreams. The Land of Hope and Dreams. Off Wrecking Ball. I prefer the Wrecking Ball version. The Live in New York version is great, but the Wrecking Ball version is the one that I go to for sure. I have heard him play this song multiple times in concerts. I apologize. I keep rubbing my nose. Allergies. Horrible. I've seen him play this song multiple times at shows. The last show I went to in Milwaukee this year, he played it. I didn't think he was going to play it, but he did. And it gives me chills because it's about, for me, the song is about riding the, express train to heaven. And this train carries saints and sinners and everybody else, And it's very emotional. It's a very emotional song in a good way. Number 19, lyrically, it's a weird song because it's basically about a pedophile, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. This guy likes this underage girl and they run off to Florida and then her brothers come and find her and then he goes to prison. But it's got this great melody. And I actually just covered this song the other night at a show of mine. Working on the highway, laying on the blacktop, working on the highway all day long and don't stop. Working on the highway, blasting through the bedrock. Not going to sing it. Rob, stop singing. Just stop singing. It he played this at the second show I went to at Wrigley Field in 2012. It was just absolutely amazing. Working on the highway. Fantastic. Number 18. One of the best Max Weinberg solo situations ever. Candy's Room. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum. The dynamics are phenomenal. The lyrics are 10 out of 10. The band is so tight. That song burns the house down. I just saw him play it live. Oh my gosh. Number 17, Tougher Than the Rest. Might not be the best looking. I might not have the most amount of money, if any at all. But I'm tougher than the rest. And a song like that, it's it gives a lot of hope to a lot of people. It's a phenomenal song. And to be honest with you, I wish you would have played the whole thing. But I love the album version. But my favorite version of the song now is when he played it on the Howard Stern show, or I guess the Springsteen on Broadway. But the piano version of the song, it's fantastic, and it's even greater now that he's a little older, got a little more grit to it, and all that sort of stuff. And it's phenomenal song, Tougher Than the Rest. I would go with that. Number 16. The album version's great. I'm going to go with the Live at Hammersmith version from 1975 because it's literally when he does the whole band introduction. The song is Rosalita. And, it's when, I'm a kid and I'm hearing this for the first time. And it's like the mighty Max Weinberg, the Professor Roy Bittan, Miami Steve, and it's like, oh, they're characters. It's like it's almost like they're characters, right? But the song itself, Rosalita, it's a barn burner. It's just an absolute fucking barn burner. Rosalita, Jump a Little High, Number 15, maybe one of the 10 greatest country songs ever written. I also throw Dead Flowers by the Rolling Stones in that category. And it's so interesting that some of the greatest country songs ever written were written by people that are not country artists. The song for me is Highway Patrolman. You want to talk about narrative storytelling? Boy, by golly, this is that song. Is 10 out of 10. Knock your socks off. Phenomenal. The song, it's a meal of a song because you have Joe Roberts, who's the sheriff in town, and he's got his brother Frankie, who, for those of you that have ever seen the film The Indian Runner, was based off of the song Highway Patrolman. But the idea, context-wise, Frankie was in Vietnam. He came back. He's fucked up in the head. He's got problems. His brother's the sheriff in town. They're always getting calls about him. But you can't turn your back on your family. A man turns his back on his family. Well, he ain't no good. And then the lift, the chorus is me and Frankie laughing and drinking. Nothing feels better on Blood on Blood. That's what's great about pop music, is because you can have these real dour verses and then go to these like happier choruses. But to me, it's like every time Joe gets a call about his brother, I think that he thinks contextually, he thinks about the chorus and like the good times and like, before he, went to Vietnam and, the good days. And that's what kind of keeps it going. And then it's got a great ending to it. And it's almost like, I don't want to spoil the ending, like go listen to it because it's great. It's beautiful and it's real. And I think, the level of authenticity and the realism is why there's great songwriting, great musicianship, all of those things. Down to the way he sequences his albums, with the four corners on a record, the first track and the last track on each side, all that stuff is great. It's all phenomenal. But I think at the end of the day, the realism and authenticity is why his music is so attractive to me, and I think to millions of other people. Number 14, Lonesome Day. The opening track on The Rising. The line, better ask questions before you shoot. Didn't see that one coming. Baby, once I thought I knew every little thing I needed to know about you. It's a great song. It's like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, the E Street Band is back, baby. It's a barn burner of an opening song, and it burns the house down. It's phenomenal. Number 13, I'm Going Down. One of my favorite John Prine songs is a song called Far From Me. We're not going to sing because remember, Rob stopped singing. But I'm Going Down very much reminds me of that song in these great ways. And it's just like the accepting of the impending doom that is the breakup of the relationship. It's not a sad song because if you listen to it, it's an up-tempo, mid-tempo song, okay? But it's the acceptance of the impending doom that is about to happen. That's I'm Going Down. Number 12. Okay. Now listen. Listen. I know. It's not in the top 10. It's number 12. but these are my favorites. Number 12 is Born to Run. What can you say about it other than it's maybe one of the greatest rock and roll songs ever, maybe the greatest rock and roll song ever, maybe. But it's number 12 in my list of favorites for Bruce Springsteen. Number 11, She's the One. Hey, Bo Diddley. Not Fade Away. You can tell the guy was listening to Buddy Holly and Bo Diddley, obviously. But those songs are so pure, where his song is so dark, with her killer graces and her secret places that no boy can fill, with her hands on her hips and the smile on her lips. Boy, you know that it kills me. And then here comes the hope. But tonight we'll try just one more time to break on through. Oh, beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the top 10. Top 10 right here. Let's do it. Number 10, Jungle Land. Rangers at a homecoming in Harlem late last night. The sax solo on that. Rest in peace, Clarence Clemens. Beautiful. That everybody shines on that. I mean, Roy playing the piano, it's phenomenal. The whole song, the dynamics. It's a meal of a song. Number 9, Racing in the Street. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song about, again, not in life, there is good, but it's not all, there's hard times. And this is a glimpse of one of those times. And it's so encapsulated. And the outro to the song, I think, is my favorite Springsteen outro out of all of them. And the only one that would maybe come close is the next track for me, number 8, Backstreets. The song's about friendship. And it's funny because he sings about, this whole thing. You can blame it all on me, Terry. It don't matter to me now. In friendship, sometimes there's bad times or hard times, and the song doesn't necessarily, give you the whole story. It just gives you a snippet, but it's a meal of a song, and it hits all of the notes. It's great. It's got a great bridge to it too. It's great. Beautiful. Number 7, Atlantic City. And it's 2012. I'm at Wrigley Field. Tom Morello showed up that night. Eddie Vedder showed up that night. It was a wild show. Wild show. I mean, he played everything that night, it felt like. And I just remember I was like, it's my first Springsteen show. I'm going again tomorrow night. I wonder if he'll play Atlantic City one of these 2 nights. And about 10, 12 songs into the set on night 1, I hear Max. Boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom. I know the live in New York City version very, very, very well. Yes, the version off of Nebraska is great. But I prefer the E Street Band version. I do, at the end of the day. And I knew about 5 seconds in, they're playing Atlantic City. I've seen him play the song. I know I've seen him play it twice. I don't know if he played it at the United Center in 16, but I can't remember. But he played it there, and then he played it again in Nashville. I do remember that. And it's a song he doesn't play all the time. So I just feel like so blessed and lucky that gotten to hear Atlantic City twice out of 6 shows. Number 6, again, if I would have made this list at 16, 17, I've said it before, Secret Garden would be way higher up, but this song wouldn't have even been on the list. And this is a song that I always loved, but as I've gotten older, I understand it more because I'm the age that he was when he wrote the song. And the song is The Ties That Bind, the opening track off The River. It's got everything in it. It's got all the right ingredients, the band, the lyrics, the story, the whole shebang. And to me, it's like, as I get older, the ties that bind, it's not things, it's not dreams, it's not looking over your shoulder, the grass is greener somewhere else. It's the people in your life, the people in your life that you choose. You choose those people to be in your life. That's what matters. That's what matters at the end of the day. That is what is most important, are the people that you choose to have in your life or that are in your life that you care about. That's why that song is number 6 on my list. Number 5, the rebellious anthem of my late teens with shout out to my very, 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 very good friend, one of my best friends in the entire world, Scott Pitney. Hey, man, no surrender. You know, he was in the Air Force, and this was his ringtone when he calls me. It's no surrender. And again, obviously the song is very much about Vietnam vets and all that sort of stuff. You know, there's a war outside still raging. They say it ain't ours anymore to win. Excuse me, I gotta drink some water. But we made a promise. We'll always remember, no retreat, baby, no surrender. He's been opening his shows on this tour with this song. And I think now it's a testament to, hey, we are in our mid-70s. We ain't gonna be around much longer. But we're still doing it. And we're still gonna burn down the house night after night, city after city, country after country. No retreat, baby. No surrender. Number 4, a song that has so many meanings to me. He opened with this at the second show I went to, when I saw him. The Promised Land. You know, Mr. I ain't a boy, no, I'm a man, and I believe in a promised land. You know, I've done my best now to live the right way. I get up every morning, go to work each day, but your eyes go blind and your blood runs cold. Sometimes I feel so weak, I just want to explode. Promised Land. What can I say about it? It's phenomenal. It's got a great sax solo in it, the whole thing. Number 3, my friend Billy would probably think this would be my number 1 pick. Shout out to Billy. As I've gotten older, there's 2 songs that have surpassed this one in my book. It used to be my favorite song of Bruce's 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But there's 2 other ones that have surpassed it. But number 3 for me is Thunder Road. Screen door slams, Mary's dress waves. Like a vision, she dances across. Oh my gosh. Like a vision, she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Roy Orbison singing for the lonely. Hey, that's me and I want you only. Don't turn me home again. I just can't face myself alone again. Don't run back inside, darling. You know just what I'm here for. So you're scared and you're thinking that maybe we ain't that young anymore. Show a little faith. There's magic in the night. You ain't a beauty, but hey, you're all right. She probably is a beauty, though. Let's be honest. And that's all right with me. Whew. All right. Let's wrap it up. We're almost at an hour and a half, and I'd like to get out of here before an hour and 35. Let's do it. Number 2. Actually, the last 2 songs are both off the same album. Number 2, well, they're still racing out at the trestles, but that blood, it never burned in her veins. Now I hear she's got a house up in Fairview and a style she's trying to maintain. Well, if she wants to see me, you can tell her that I'm easily found. Yeah. Darkness on the Edge of Town. Darkness on the Edge of Town. This is another song. I play the song all the time because it's so great. My version's a little different, but it's such a great song. And it's a country song at the end of the day, Because what is country music? Country music is about adults. It is about adult trials and tribulations and hardships and joy and faith and love and lust and the falling out of love and all of those things. Darkness on the Edge of Town, I think, is one of the greatest country songs ever written. That's not a country song, my opinion, but it hits all the notes and it fills in all the blanks. Darkness on the Edge of Town. I'll be on that hill because I can't stop. I'll be on that hill with everything I got. Lives on the line where dreams are found and lost. I'll be there every time and I'll pay the cost for wanting things that can only be found in the darkness on the edge of town. Which takes me to my number one slot. Ladies and gentlemen. Prove It All Night. Hands down for the last, at least 5 years, for sure. But definitely, I mean, the last 5 years, definitely the last year or so, 100%, without a doubt. It is Prove It All Night. It is what I live by. I literally live by this song and the mantra. I say it all the time. I have a t-shirt I just made recently that says the waiting is the hardest part, because that's the other song in my life that is literally my mantra. The Tom Petty song, The Waiting. The waiting is the hardest part. Prove it all night. That is my quote. It needs to be on my next t-shirt. Prove it all night. He tells, is it the Largo version from 78? It's phenomenal. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I got a lot to say about the song. Okay. So I think, he was talking, he's like, I was in a cab and I was talking to the cab driver. I'm going to try not to do my Bruce voice. It's like, talking to the cab driver, and he's like, you got to prove it all night. I got to prove it all night at work. And then I got to go home, prove it all night to my wife and my kids, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah. I've been working real hard trying to get my ass clean. We'll drive that dusty road from Monroe to Angeline to buy you a gold ring and a pretty dress of blue. Baby, just one kiss. I'll get those things for you. A kiss to seal our fate tonight, and a kiss to prove it all night. Prove it all night. All night, baby, for your love. I get up every day, and it's prove it all night. Prove it all night, and how hard are you willing to go? How hard are you willing to work to get the things that you want, or the people that you want, or person that you want? Prove it all night. Oh, yeah. That was my jam. Here's my stories. So again, this was already a song that I would have put in my top 20 way back in 2012. I don't think it would have crossed my top 10 back then. But it definitely in my top 20. And they walk out on Wrigley Field. Oh, man. And I'm like, what song are they going to open with? What song are they going to open with? What song are they going to open with? I'm going crazy. And everybody else around was going crazy, trying to figure out what's it going to open with, And Roy starts playing the piano. And about 10 seconds in, I go, oh my God. Immediately, just chills, tears in my eyes, because I know what they're playing. They're playing the 1978 extra long intro to Prove It All Night, where Roy opens with the guitar, and then Bruce comes in with this dirty, gritty electric guitar solo, and it's like 4 or 5 minutes long, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da. Lost my mind. I lost my mind. Everything changed for me that night. There was my life before I saw them live and my life after I saw them live. It was a religious in a lowercase r a religious experience. And I've always said that to people that are like, I'm all right with Springsteen. He's okay. Like, you got to go see him live. You know, I know it's very expensive now, but you go see him live, you might change your mind, because he is the hardest working man in show business. And I would officially now say, once he retires, we will give the crown to Taylor Swift. I'm okay with that. Her music's not written for me per se. I love her album Speak Now and a handful of tracks off a lot of her other records. I'm just not that much into pop music, but by golly, she is just immensely talented, and I give her all the flowers in the world, just like everybody else does it. She's phenomenal. And I think when Bruce retires, we can give Taylor Swift the crown, you know. But to me, still to this day, especially at 7, he's going to be 74 in September. The hardest working man. He has proven it all night, time and time, and, you know, city after city, state after state, country after country. He's proven it 100%. I don't know how we did this, but we did this. Thank you for watching. You know, I'm going to go to the gym now. I am exhausted. My voice is shot. Rob's not singing tonight. Not going to happen. No more singing, Rob. Wow. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been my 100 favorite songs by Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Originals, studio albums, B-sides, outtakes, covers, and rarities. We covered them all. If you're watching this, thank you for watching this. Please like and subscribe. We've got a whole network here with a vast variety of shows, multiple topics, pretty much for the whole family. They're not G-rated, so because I swear a lot. So does everybody else. So maybe not the kids, but for everybody else in the family. Subscribe to the RFN, the Rob Fishbeck Network. We've got shows such as Everyday Experts, Overtly Opinionated, Cage Unleashed, the ultimate Nick Cage podcast. Okay, we've got Characters of Culture. We've got Elder Millennials Behind the Counter, which is a music show. We've got the EMBC, Elder Millennials Behind the Counter, A Guide to Hip Hop, which Della Common is running on the show. I'm just producing it. This has been a blast. Go listen to Bruce Springsteen. He's the greatest artist of all time and my favorite songwriter. Be well, everybody. You can find me at Rob Fishbeck. I am on Threads. I'm on Instagram, on the Facebook. I have a Twitter account, but I don't use it anymore because that place is a shithole. And tramps like us, baby, we were born to run.